Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my episodes. Usually you see me doing interviews with elected officials and other groups around the state and our country talking about issues. But every so often I like to bring one of the sponsors of my show on to talk about something that I think would be very interesting to my listeners and the people who support my show. Today I'm with one of my sponsors, Brett Thomas, with Rhino Web Studios. I think that you've heard his commercial on my show plenty of times. But today we're going to talk about something that's really, really interesting that I think every business needs to know. Because if you saw the title, that's why you're here. It's SEO for your business. You always hear those keywords or those that analogy or the anagram, I guess. What's it called? What's the SEO?
Search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization. See, even I have a hard time with it, but I hear it all the time. And we're going to talk about that today with Brett Thomas of Rhino Web Studios. Brett, thanks for coming on.
Am I too relaxed for you?
No, I think it's great, and I love this. We're going to let everybody know. Brett's going to show you the reason why he's laid back is because he's going to show you how easy it is to do search engine optimization for your business yourself. So the first question I want to ask you, though, is why would you as a business owner want to show other businesses how to do it themselves?
Honestly, when people realize how hard it is to do, they usually call me. Even if you knew all of these things, your time is valuable, and most people don't have time to do all of this, and they hire a professional company. So I just wanted to let everybody know, I'm going to tell you the secrets, but if it gets too confusing, you pick up the phone and call me, and we'll take care of everything.
What I like about that, I'm a key into this is, so he's being honest about how might be difficult for you, but there's a lot of people who maybe they don't use the whole plan he's going to give, but they'll be able to use parts of it, parts of it themselves. But one thing I like to point out is because we had a conversation off the record before the interview that there's a lot of companies out there who are going to tell you they're going to do search engine optimization. But by Brett telling you the secrets, it's going to give you things to ask for to find out if other companies are even going to do the things that they're telling you to be done that Brett's going to do for you and by showing you how to do it.
Correct.
So Brett, what's the first thing that somebody can do? We got a board in the back y'all can't see. So what's the first thing?
There's a lot of things. So let me just give you the overview here. I want you to think of search engine optimization as like putting a NASCAR car into a race, right? Every one of those cars wants to be number one. Every business in your genre wants to be number one, right? So let's use the analogy of a race, okay? So you have a great looking car, fantastic. It's shiny. It's got all the sponsors on it. Y'all are looking great, but there's a busted radiator. Nobody's going to know that you have a busted radiator, but one or two laps around the track and your car breaks down. You're not going to win the race. If you have let's forget about the radiator. What if you got a head gasket problem, or you have any other kind of engine problems, and a myriad of different things could be wrong. And if everything is not perfect, you're not going to win the race. I don't care how good a driver you are. All right, so you might have a fantastic business. That's your driver. But if your car isn't in tip-top shape, you're not going to win. And it's the same thing with search engine optimization. There's 35, 40 different things that are the main things.
Just fix a little bit.
I'm facing the wrong way, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So it's 35 things.
There's about 35 or 40 different things that need to be done to the website when you're building the website in order for that website to win the race, or to at least compete, to at least be able to
using your analogy, it's like how many cars start out in a NASCAR race, and they're all jockeying. You all see them when they pass by, but it's only those first 1, 2, or 3 that get across the finish line at the end that get any recognition.
Correct. Exactly. I like to use that analogy, and it's also like making a jambalaya. Or I use the other analogy of a recipe like a jambalaya. So if you just do one or two of the things, if you do five of the things that you need to do for your website, and you ignore the rest. Well, you got a nice big plate of white rice.
Right.
Right? Can you eat it? Is it going to work?
Yeah.
But it's not jambalaya.
So let's talk about the number one thing. I'm looking at some things up there. What's the number one thing that somebody can do themselves to be able to promote their business SEO?
High quality content. Period. Content is king. And if anybody tells you any differently, they don't know what they're talking about. The content of your website has to be original. You can't just copy and paste. You have to put some thought into it. And your initial key terms. For example, let's talk about my site. So rhinopm.com, I want to show up for New Orleans web design or Metairie web design or Slidell web design. Well, I have to have pages that say that at the very top. The first thing you go on my site, New Orleans and Metairie web design. Not Rhino web, not the name of my company, it's whatever the term is that people are using, searching for to find you, or businesses like you. That has to be first and foremost, and it has to be done in an H tag or a header tag. So you have your
This is good information for people who maybe they're not going to be able to do it themselves, but if they're talking to somebody that's doing the SEO for the website for them, this gives them something that they can ask about.
So I get this all the time. I get people will call me and say, I have a beautiful website. I'll look at it, I'm like, well, it's an amazing website. Well, it's not showing up in the search engines. And I can look and tell right away that it wasn't done by a professional, because their header tag is the name of their business. And I'll say, watch this. And I'll type in the name of their business, and they pop right up on the top of the page. Well, you see I come up number one. Well, of course you do, because that's what your header tag is.
Right.
Change that header tag, and you'll see a much different result.
I like that. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. What's the number two thing that somebody can do?
Oh, we can do number three, number 30.
We got 8 things up here I can see, and some little notes on the side.
All right. So the keywords of your site need to be very early in the content of the page. So if your site is about landscaping and your business is in Slidell landscaping needs to be in the content towards the top of the page, not on the bottom of the page.
So I think this would be important, because if somebody is creating the content to come to you and they might have in their typed, we are a great company that does gardens and edging and for your front yard, that's not going to get absorbed or hit the search engines as high as landscaping in Slidell for all your garden needs to make your home look better.
Right, but then all of those things that you said, landscaping and edging and all, every service that you offer has to have its own page with its own SEO.
And they can do all this on the same website?
Of course. So instead of just clicking on a button that says services and then have one page that lists all your services, have a button that says services that's not clickable, but has a drop down of all your services. Then when you click on a specific service, that's service. So if you're a landscaper, you do lawn care, you do lawn maintenance, you do landscaping, but you also do construction, and there's a whole bunch of different.
Every button needs to be
You do tree trimming, maybe you're an arborist too. So each one of those services has to have its own page with its own SEO. So the tree trimming page needs to say tree trimming in Slidell, if you're a landscaper in Slidell, or tree trimming in New Orleans. And that needs to be your header tag before your content. And then also have tree trimming in Slidell somewhere in that content towards probably the first paragraph, I would think.
This all sounds so easy, but I didn't even think of this, for anybody other than myself.
Well,
but
that part's easy. There's a lot. Here, again, it sounds so easy. Get a good radiator. But when you're talking about a car or a recipe, there's so many little things that need to be done.
When you have about a car that needs to go a half a mile faster to win the race,
right?
It's knowing which radiator to get, and that's where you come into play.
Exactly.
Or this information comes into play for somebody who wants to do it themselves.
Right.
So what's the next thing on the list we have up there?
Well, your meta tags. Your meta tags need to be. Your meta tags are your description of the page description, the keywords for the page, and also the browser page title. The browser page title has to be your main search term. All right. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients is Dan Burkhardt Insurance. If you Google Metairie Insurance, you'll see that he comes up number 1 in Google Maps, and he also comes up number 1 in organic result over all the insurance companies in Metairie. And the reason why is this wasn't a website that we just threw together in a couple of weeks. We've actually been working on this website for a couple of years, and consistency is the key. You can't just throw something up and just expect, even if you do get it on page 1, if you don't continue to add and work on it. I get that all the time. I'll get a client, I'll get them up on top of page 1, and they love it. Man, you're the best, you're awesome. And then 3 years later, they're calling me up saying, hey man, I'm on the bottom of page 1 now. What do I do? Well, we have to continue to.
So this isn't just knowing what needs to be done. This is knowing the right combination of what needs to be done. So if somebody drops in rankings, maybe some other smart SEO person was able to do the combinations of their words and meta tags and whatnot to get higher. So then you've got to go in there, look at what other sites are doing, so that way you can go back to your client's site and say,
"You've done this before, haven't you?
I've listened. I've listened to you."
All right.
And you actually go in there and examine the combination of the words to be able to get that to the top. So it's more work.
So one of the things that I do, I'm kind of a thief, but there's no law against this type of theft.
Yeah.
I'll go in and I'll see what your top competitors are using for keywords, and I'll steal their keywords.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Why reinvent the wheel?
You can't steal a word. Like I said, there's no law against it because
it's a word. It's English.
It's a word. It's in the English dictionary.
But if it's working for them, and then you can also use your competitors' names in your keywords. So if somebody's looking for your competitor, you'll also show up in that search.
Really?
Yeah. Right.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's good.
So when you get those, you got steal keywords up there.
Yeah.
So what would be the next thing on the list? We're kind of we're covering some really good stuff.
Well, you have to blog.
Okay.
All right. You don't have to blog, but if you are really serious about being number 1 in your market for what you do, you need to take the time to do it. It just doesn't happen overnight. And you hear the guy who works the hardest, he usually wins. The early bird gets the worm.
You're not working hard though, but I want to point that out. You're
I'm
relaxed.
Well, right now I'm not working hard. Look, I've been building websites for 20 years. I'm really good at what I do.
Which is why I say you don't have to work hard anymore.
I'm really, really good at what I do. But make no mistake about it, I've hired people to work for me that are even better than me. So I have a fantastic team. Because of my team, I'm able to sit back and relax a little bit, right?
So I interrupted your train of thought a second ago.
About blogging.
Blogging.
Right. So you need to take, all right, I have a great analogy here. So I had a lady at an air conditioning company, and her top competitors were blogging. They either hired a company to do it, or they were doing it themselves, but they were writing articles about heating and air conditioning. And every week they had a new article, right? And it was on their website, it was on their Facebook page and their Instagram page. And so I told this lady, we'll call her Karen. I said, Karen, your competitors are blogging. You need to write a blog. And, I don't have time for that, she said. I said, you don't have time for that. And I kind of embarrassed her. I almost felt bad about doing it. So I pulled up my phone and I went to her personal Facebook page and I said, you posted a picture and a recipe about spaghetti that you cooked last night. How long did that take you? Oh, you posted 4 things yesterday on Facebook about your person. I got a picture of your dog here. Why can't you take a few minutes out of your life to write an article about, getting a checkup on your air conditioning system? And she said, well, now I just feel silly.
Right? Yeah, right, exactly, right.
Right. So, look, you got the time is there. It'll take you, even if it takes you 20 minutes a week. If it takes you 20 minutes, you sit down for 20 minutes, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday if you're busy during or in the evening, sit down for 20 minutes and just write an original article about something that you do.
Does it have to be that long?
No. Just a few paragraphs.
Yeah.
Again, at the end of the day, the more content that you have, the higher you're going to rank. It's all about content. It's an algorithm. It's like a machine, and so you can't just do one or two things great and expect for the machine to work. Everything has to be done properly for that.
So what's this number 3?
Backlinks from authority sites.
Okay.
All right. So websites have what's called domain authority, and a lot of it has to do with the age of the domain, or the type. Like news sites have high domain authority. We're going to get to that in a second when we talk about press releases. So you want to have backlinks from sites that have domain authority. Backlinks meaning a link to your site from their site.
Right.
Right? And sometimes you can do that with a phone call and say, hey, we want to write an article about your company or link to you. In exchange, can you backlink to us? Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a kind of a way that I have that you can cheat at backlinks.
Okay.
And that's using press releases. I'll give you an example. Okay, so we're doing a website for a fishing boat captain, like a charter fishing company. And part of the deal was, I told him I'd build this website, but he had to take me fishing.
Okay.
I needed to go fishing to take drone footage and pictures and stuff.
Right.
I had to go fishing, right? So normally I'd hire somebody to do that kind of stuff, but not hire, but normally I got a guy on staff that does it, but I go and do those myself. So we get out there, we're on the boat, and I don't know if you know what a bait ball is.
No.
So there were these millions of little minnows out there, and there was a bait ball of probably 5,000 redfish. I'm talking redfish this big or bigger, just tearing up the water, and he was looking at his binoculars and was like, pull up your poles, let's go. And I'm like, what are we looking at? And as we're going, I'm seeing this little tiny white speck get big and big. And it was just the white was the water being churned up from all these fish. And I'm like, holy moly. And I get out the camera and I'm videoing everything. And you throw the pole and you catch it. And we just caught redfish like this. It was crazy. There was 7 of us on the boat. We're only allowed to catch one, keep one each.
Yeah.
And I think we had that done in like 5 minutes. Right?
Nice.
So I'm videotaping. Well, I don't want to say taping. That sounds like I'm an old guy. I am.
Yeah.
But I got my iPhone out and I'm videoing all this, and I put it on YouTube. So I'm talking to the guy about backlinks for his website, and so we did a press release, bait ball, and it's incredible watching 5,000 plus fish all in one tiny spot, and it was just a really impressive video. So you can do a press release, and it goes out to thousands, tens of thousands of news organizations. And I think somewhere in the number of 30 or 40 of them picked it up, you know. So there's a video with a link to the website.
Yeah.
And those are from news organizations. So backlinks from sites with authority. And you can use press release as a way to kind of cheat, but you have to have something that's interesting in order for the news organizations to
That's pretty. And you'll help people with those.
Oh yeah, there's a company that I use that actually does that.
I love this.
Yeah.
So I think I switched with Google properties. Did we cover Google properties?
We
yet?
did not.
So what are Google properties?
So Google properties, like YouTube is a Google property. YouTube, Google Search Console, Google My Business. You know, there's so. I don't know if you know what the 3-pack is.
No.
All right. When you search something, there's 3 sites that come up in the map area before you even see anything else. You got ads first, and then the 3-pack, and then all your results under the 3-pack. Right. To be in the 3-pack, you have to have a Google My Business page. All right, and you go to business.google.com and set up your business. Most businesses already have this. Most people already know about this, right? But if you don't, business.google.com. Go there, set up your business. They don't just take anybody. You have to verify that you're a real business.
Okay.
So that's really cool. And the way that they do it is you put in your address and Google sends you a postcard in the regular mail. So if you have a real address, you
Right.
get the postcard, and on the postcard there's a code. Then you log back into Google My Business, you put in your code, and bam, then you're verified. That's step one. Step two is Google reviews. So your Google reviews are linked to your Google My Business page.
Okay.
All right? If you look at your competitors and your top competitor has 45 reviews and they got a 4.8 rating, well, there's your number to beat.
Right.
You need 60 reviews and a 5-star, So what you do is we put something on your website where click here to review us, and it's a link to that review, and you got to ask. I get this all the time. Well, I don't want to ask my clients to send me a review. Why not? You're asking for money, right?
Right, exactly right.
Just say, hey, did you like our service? Did you like our service?
Yeah, I like your service.
And you would really help us out is if you could go on our website and leave us a review. It would just take you 5 minutes.
Right.
And you know what I do? When I'm there with them at the final, I'm like, boom, here, can you just, and I'll do it for them. I'll put it on their phone and say, do it, so that it gets done. And people tend to procrastinate. So you got to
this is another one of those SEO techniques that people don't realize that drives more
the
business.
higher your reviews are, the more reviews and the higher the review score is, that goes into that algorithm of getting you on the top of the search engines, because Google doesn't want to put a business that's ripping people off on the top of their list. They want high quality
businesses.
Kind
of demand some accountability there.
So
there's A, B, and C underneath
there.
Yeah,
so that's Google My Business. On. YouTube. Oh, what's that?
YouTube. Right, exactly.
Yeah, so YouTube is a Google business. So did you know that?
Yeah.
So Google owns YouTube. If you put videos about your business on YouTube, start a channel. So for example, there's a doctor that I know. He's got a company called Aesthetic MD in Slidell. He's got his own channel with videos.
That's pretty interesting.
And I can tell you, when he started doing that, he started seeing results almost immediately within a day or two.
And does it have to be a high production video?
No.
I mean, can it just be something simple, like a minute or 2 minutes long?
No. I think some of the videos on there we shot with an iPhone.
Okay.
Just shoot with an iPhone. Put it on a tripod. Don't have it all jerky around, and make sure the lighting is right. Make sure it looks good to your eye when you do it. But at the end of the day, you put a video on YouTube. You put a good description, and in that description, you link that video back to your website. Or back to that page on your website that you're talking about.
Now, how do you link the video back to the website? Is it a link in the video where they click on it, or is it in the description?
In the description.
Okay, so in the description, you just put like www.xybbusiness.com, right?
No. If you did that, it would put the website, but it wouldn't link. You got to put HTTP : // You got to put the whole. So go to your website, copy the whole address, and then paste it.
And paste that. Mm-hmm. I love it. All right, that's another good recommendation. Appreciate that.
All right. Now, Google also within the last 2 years, started doing 360. Well, they don't do the 360 digital tours, but on your Google My Business page, there is now a link to where you can upload your 360 digital tour to Google. So imagine, you're in Google Maps and you can go into the street level and like go down the street.
Yeah,
and stuff.
right, exactly.
Well, come here pretty soon. When enough businesses do this, you'll be able to look at the business and then go in the door and then go walk around the store. But you have to upload your 360 digital tour to Google My Business.
So you're going to do that. They're going to put it up, but because I remember back in the old days, Google was driving in the streets and they're just videoing and taking pictures. So they're not going to come in your business, but you're going to have to do that yourself.
Right, or you hire a company like mine to do that for you.
Y'all do that too?
Yes.
Now it's getting more interesting. So again, somebody can do this themselves, or they can hire you to do this.
Yes.
I love this. So what about? So we got 360 that we just now talked. We talked about backlinks. What's the load speed? Load speed.
All right. Have you ever gone to a website and it just took forever to load, and you finally went, the hell with this, and you went back and you went to another site, right?
Right.
So it's not only bad for keeping visitors on your site. But if your load speed is too slow, Google will demerit you.
Well, how do you control how much your load speed is? How can somebody do that themselves?
It's a magic wand that. No. So the biggest culprit is images. The biggest culprit to this is images. So people will take a picture that's 2,000 pixels, right? And they'll put it in their website, and then they'll just drag it to make it smaller.
Yeah.
Well, even though it looks smaller on the screen, it's still a 2,000 pixel picture, right?
Right.
2,000 pixels wide picture that you just made smaller.
Yeah.
All right. So it's still, you'll see a little bitty picture, but it'll be like load. You ever seen those before?
Right. Yeah.
That's because it was lazy. You need to take that picture, throw it in a program like Photoshop, or they got a whole bunch of free editors online, and you need to make that picture exactly the size that you want it to be. And then upload that picture, and not just the picture that you just got off of your phone,
right?
Which is 2,500 pixels wide.
So all these great phones that you have, you got to almost kind of like engineer that picture to be like the old phones took, just to be able to have it upload to be a good picture on somebody else's site quicker.
We'll just throw it in Photoshop, or there's a ton of, if you Google compress my images or free image editor online, they got hundreds and hundreds of.
And again, these are all things that people can do themselves
for free. Yeah,
for free. These are all things that people can say to their whoever's doing their SEO or shopping on what to look out for, or having somebody like yourself at Rhino Web Studios, can show them for them as a client.
So that's correct. But while we're on, I don't want to forget this. While we're on the subject of pictures and images, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you upload a picture to your website, you're supposed to also give it an alt tag. An alternate. So if for some reason that picture doesn't come up, there's words that says what the picture's supposed to be. All right. So those words are also searchable by Google. So all of your pictures need to have alt tags. So that's like putting a little, additive in your oil
exactly.
or whatever.
I love that.
Just every little thing matters.
All these, so it's amazing how many things that we've covered so far, and we got some more that people are not aware of, that they can do themselves or have a company do it, but should be aware of whoever they hire to be able to make sure it's getting done to maximize theirs. And if you don't get it in one watch, you can watch the video again and take notes the second time. What about the SSL?
The SSL certificate, that's another big one. So if your site doesn't have an SSL certificate, so it's your security. You ever go to a website and you see that the lock is unbroken?
Right.
It means it's insecure. Maybe it has a little red line through it.
Yeah.
That's because it doesn't have an SSL certificate, or the SSL certificate is outdated. Google will rank your site lower if you have no SSL certificate. They expect you to have an SSL certificate. Will it rank you higher? No. But if you don't have one, it'll rank it lower.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of the services that we offer. So after we build the site, we host and maintain your site, and we handle all security, and your SSL certificate's all included. Our hosting starts at $40 a month for a basic website, and for $40 a month, we handle all of this. You don't have to worry about it.
To be able to do all this.
Yeah.
What about the visible responsive?
Mobile responsive.
Multiple responsive.
Mobile
response. Boy, I got to tell you what.
Here you go.
Oh, there we go. We got it now.
All right. Mobile responsive. So a few years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't as important. It wasn't even a thing. You'd go to a website and it would look tiny on the screen. You'd have to blow it up, to look at the words or whatever.
Right.
But now we have mobile responsive websites. It makes your website, you have a site that's looks a certain way on a computer screen, but then when it's on a mobile device, the code in the back end of the website, the CSS code, strengthens that website to look like an app specifically made for your phone. You've seen that before.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So that's another one of those things like the SSL certificate. If your site is mobile responsive, I don't know if Google is going to rank you higher, but if it's not, they're definitely going to
rank you lower.
Going to rank you lower.
Which are more to the bottom there. We got load speeds, SSL, mobile response, social media. We got optimize. Number 7.
Hold on.
Oh, am I skipping something?
No, we already did. We optimize images with image tags, so each image has to have its own.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that.
All right. So social media. Let's talk about social media. Now, this is a big one. Especially Google will look to see. They'll look through your site to see if you have links to social media, and they'll even check those links. They have robots or spiders that go through, and they'll even check the links to make sure that it is a valid social media page. So there are tools, there are search engine optimization tools out there, and some of them that I use, that when I check a site to see what my grade is, if the company that I'm doing the website for doesn't have social media, it's a big red flag, big red exclamation point. Social media links, no social media links.
Right.
So Google is absolutely ranking you based upon, among many other things, if you have social media.
That's pretty. Of course, they're in love with themselves because they are social media in their own way.
And also, that social media should also link back to your website. So when you're looking through your stats, if you look at your stats and you say, all right, most of my hits came from Google. If you don't have Facebook, Instagram in those stats as links from external sites,
right,
then you're doing something wrong.
That's pretty. I mean, you never really thought about that too much, I guess. But for the average person who doesn't think about that, that's why not only this video information is good, but having somebody like you to contact is even better. We talked about press releases. I see the word sexy up there.
No, your site needs to be sexy.
Your site needs to be sexy.
Now, this isn't for SEO. This is for click-through. This is what's the word I'm looking for? For retention, for people to stay on your site. Have you ever gone to a website and it just looked like crap, and then you banged off of it before you haven't read anything?
Yeah.
Because people tend to judge your business on how you look, right? Imagine you got a salesman coming over to sell you something, and he shows up in jeans and a ripped up T-shirt.
Okay.
Right. Are you going to buy anything from him?
Maybe not.
Probably not. He might have the best product on the market.
Yeah.
But that first impression is going to put a red flag, right? So when somebody goes to your website, they're going to base your success and the quality of your service based upon
first impressions.
The first impression. And if your website looks sexy, you got them.
So sexy just means something that can
it
catch
flows,
your eye.
The colors are
in
right,
a positive way.
Yeah.
It's appealing to the eye, appealing to your of course the information that you want. You've got takes time up there. What the takes time refers to?
Well, I've had clients that will hire me, and 2 or 3 months later they're, why am I not on page 1 yet? Right? Well, we can get you there if you want to pay Google. I mean, I can get you on page 1 tomorrow if you're willing to pay Google to do it for AdWords. But I don't like using Google AdWords. I mean, when I'm searching, I usually go right by the ads. The ads come up first. Right. And I'll just go right by the ads. I don't want to see. I want to use the company who's not paying to be up there. Right.
Okay.
So in order to be organically showing up in the search engines, it takes time. It can take, 3, 4, 5 months. It could take a year. It took it for me, because I was competing with all the other web designers. For Metairie web design, for New Orleans web design, it probably took me 3 years to get on page 1. And now for Metairie, I'm number 1. For New Orleans, I'm somewhere on the top. I don't think I'm number 1, but I'm on the top of page 1.
But as long as you've got somebody who's willing to use all of these methods, whether they do it themselves or they hire somebody like you, and they just are staying consistent and staying on top of it, they can get to number 1. But of course, it's knowing those combinations, which takes some time to study.
And
takes time.
The thing that I see that hurts people the most is after 6 months or whatever, if they don't get the results, if they're not number 1 in 6 months, they give up, and they'll switch they'll switch to another company, right? And then when you switch to another company, you're starting all over.
Right.
Right? So consistency, and continue to do the things that need to be done. Use Google. Look, Google Search Console. It's a fantastic tool. Go to Google and search Google Search Console and log in with your Google account, with your Gmail login and password, and then you put in the property. It says add new property, and you put in your website. And it'll tell you everything you got to do. It just, boom.
What's that again?
Google Search Console.
Okay.
All right. The site needs an SSL certificate. This site, it does all the, it doesn't do the work for you, but it's kind of a cheat sheet.
Yeah, it tells
right?
you what you need to do.
Right.
But of course, for people who don't have time, that's why this is a good
Right.
this is a good interview. We've got anything else I'm forgetting up there? Google, you got Google Search Console. We just talked about that. That was a good one. Anything else that I'm missing up there?
Look, we could sit here for the next 2 days and talk about search engine optimization and all the different things that we can do with that. But the bottom line is, if you need this done, that's like going to someone that doesn't know mechanics and saying, "Build me a car engine."
Right.
Right. We've been doing
They
this.
could Google that.
They could Google it, and they could figure out how to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And they could probably do a good job if they followed instructions.
Right.
All right. But what is your time worth? What is your time worth? We've been doing this for 20 years. We got it down to a science. If you don't have time to do it yourself, give us a call and we'll Johnny on the spot.
How does somebody get a hold of you?
They can go to our website, which is rhinopm.com. RHINOPM.com. Of course, Rhino,
Right here in New Orleans.
Rhino stands for right here in New Orleans. I'm born and raised. And or they can call us at 504-875-5036.
And I'll have that posted in the comments too.
Okay.
With one of those links that follows back to your site that you talked about earlier
Uh-huh.
to help out a little bit more. And again, if you guys have any questions, of course, we gave you the information for Rhino. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this and listen to this. But most importantly, maybe you got a friend that is trying to do everything themselves and you hear them complaining about how much they're not getting anywhere by doing it themselves. Maybe sharing this video with them is an indirect way of sending them to the right person for that too. But, Brett, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Everybody else, please, you can also hear this on a podcast at William Wallace for America, the name of my show, remember, WALLIS, on any podcast app that you listen to. And please share it. Thank you all so much and have a great day.